There is enormous areas of the West, including Alaska, which we manage in the BLM, that have fossils.
Canyon Country District in southeastern Utah has a great abundance of fossils. We have fossils all over the state of Utah, ranging from some of the oldest fossils found on Earth to some of the youngest. A lot of this has to do with our great terrain. We have a lot of exposed rock, and a lot of these fossils are really important. Some of these have never been found anywhere else on Earth. They've only been found in southeastern Utah.
When we make land management decisions, we have to use scientific principles to be able to determine what kinds of impacts there's going to be to the resources.
The potential fossil yield classification tool is a tool that paleontologists, paleo coordinators, and other staff can use to help tell them where there is a potential to find fossil resources in the field.
PFYC, or potential fossil yield classification, is a management tool that we employ throughout the BLM. It allows us to take a look at rock units throughout the Rocky Mountain West and be able to assess what is the potential for there being significant fossils within those units. It ranges from 1 to 5, as well as an unknown category, and within that particular ranking, we are able to, on our computers, in our offices, take a look at certain land management actions and decide what will be the impact to the paleontological resources.
Recreation planning is pretty involved here at the Moab Field Office. We have 1.8 million acres and probably one of the largest recreation programs in the agency. That being said, we have an extensive trail system, both motorized and non-motorized. We need to work with all of our resource specialists through the interdisciplinary team, make sure that we are avoiding resource conflicts prior to going out on the ground and implementing, whether it's a developed recreation site, non-motorized, motorized trail, campground. Having the opportunity to utilize PFYC is essential, especially in this country where we just have paleo resources that are world-class and all around.
Land managers can use PFYC in a very simple way. Some areas have a very low potential, little chance of finding fossils there. Some have a very high potential because of past research work that's been done. And a PFYC is based on, the rankings are based on literature work, research work that's been done for over 100 years.
Being able to look at a site prior to going out allows us the opportunity to hopefully route around potential resources. Or on the opposite side of things, we can develop resources like the Mill Canyon Track site or the Copper Ridge site or the Mill Canyon Dinosaur Bone Trail. We can identify these resources and then develop a recreation site around them that includes, facilities such as parking areas, restrooms, interpretive panels, and shade shelters possibly. It works both ways. We can avoid these resources or we can actually capitalize on them and help to educate the visitors to the area about the sensitive nature, which hopefully allows them to have an increased appreciation and understanding of the value of those paleo resources.
One of the advantages to PFYC is that it allows people that aren't paleontologists to come up with some level of determination of how the paleo resources might be impacted by certain decisions.
Without the opportunity to utilize PFYC, we're operating a little bit in the dark. We don't have that knowledge with which to move forward with our projects. Certainly from a recreation program, it's invaluable. We're constantly developing new facilities, campgrounds, trailheads, trails, interpretive sites. And having PFYC allows us the opportunity to look at what may possibly be out there.
There's lots of outcrops that have never been surveyed, that have never been assessed. How are we going to tell what kinds of resource impacts are going to happen with regard to the fossils unless we have some kind of tool. That would require that we would have to go out to each one of these outcrops throughout the western United States and up into Alaska and be able to look at those rocks looking for fossils. Certainly we'd love to do that. We don't have the resources. We don't have the personnel to be able to do this. Potential fossil yield classification allows us to be able to decide what areas are the best areas to require assessment, surveys, monitoring.
In terms of planning purposes, it allows us the opportunity to discuss in the office with the interdisciplinary team where we may or may not want to develop resources from a recreation perspective, as well as all the other oil and gas, grazing, what have you, other resources.
My job is to manage the surface portion of the oil and gas. What that means is I do inspections on existing producing oil and gas locations, and then I also process applications for permit to drill. We call those APDs. And so when one of those comes in, it is my job to review it for the required surface elements and the surface plan. So Rebecca knows what she needs to look at and what she doesn't. If we have something in a PFYC 5, then typically it's most efficient if Rebecca and I go out together and I know where we're going. We can knock it out in a half a day.
I can use this when a oil and gas well might be going in, or with our recreation team if there's a new rec site that they're planning, such as a trail or a campground. I can go back to ArcGIS, pull up this tool, and be able to determine relatively quickly if an area might need a paleo survey before any surface disturbance begins.
And then I think another really unique opportunity with PFYC is that it can constantly be updated. So if the modeling isn't necessarily correct and we find an outlier or an anomalous situation out there, we can get in and adjust it accordingly, and allows us to find new things and embrace that new information.
Having a tool like the potential fossil yield classification helps us make good science-based management decisions. It's also something that's more defensible later if we need to be able to explain this to the public, and it also helps us to be more transparent in the decisions that we're making.
I think it's been spectacular to have a district paleontologist on staff. Prior to Rebecca joining our team, we really had no idea of the abundance of paleo resources within our just 1.8 million acre field office. So it's been excellent for us as a recreation program, as well as the paleo program and the visitors, most importantly, because we've been able to develop some sites, add some interpretation, increase awareness and education of the value of paleo resources. We've also been able to work real closely together to develop trail systems that bring awareness. For example, over by Copper Ridge, we have the Dinosaur Stomping Grounds area where we have the Klondike Bluffs. It's a mountain bike focus area, so there's lots of great world-class mountain bike trails, but there's also world-class paleo resources there, and to interpret both of them and develop them in conjunction with one another is a pretty unique opportunity.
Some of the sites that we have located in Canyon Country District, we have been able to preserve and protect either through interpreting them to the public and teaching people about these really interesting sites. We also encourage researchers to come out and do work in the area so that they can help contribute to our scientific knowledge of this wonderful resources and of this area that we have. So it's nice to have a paleontologist in this area who's able to give that kind of expertise that might be needed to our other local resource members and to management. Having a science-based tool like the potential fossil yield classification allows us to make good science-based management decisions so that we're making sure we're protecting important things like our fossil resources, which are non-renewable.